Hello, everybody. Well, we're past halfway of the semester, and I just want to thank everybody for tremendous participation. I'm enjoying the discussion so much in each module. And thanks to the team leaders for writing great questions in each module, which really makes the discussions good. And thanks also for the poster session. Um, Before the semester began, I was hoping the poster sessions would be what they were, and so thank you. Um, I really enjoyed the technology aspects. I like the glogsters. I like the brain sharks. I like hearing your voices. From a per, pers- the teacher's perspective, seeing many, um, it made it interesting to me throughout going through all of them. Now, I did stay out of the discussions this time because I wanted to be a true poster session of you guys interacting with each other, and that you did that, and it worked out great. So I thought it was a real good success. All right, now we're starting with the constructivist module, and this is what I've been looking forward to since the very beginning of the course, because this question about whether or not children are blank slates has come up in many different places, but especially I think in the Plato module. And I really just kept wanting to jump ahead to the constructivist, so now I'm finally glad that it's here. So we have this question, are children blank slates? Now I think when people say that, I think they're meaning knowledge. Well, children don't know what 2 plus 2 is, they're blank slates, right? But knowledge is not all there is to being a human. There's personality, which people have brought up, that young babies seem to have their own personality. And the key thing that we're going to be talking about in this module, or a key new idea, is will. Do children have will? And if so, what do they will? Right? So they might will that they need affection, or they might will that they need food, or they might will that they need something and they're going to try to accomplish it. So are children blank slates in the sense that they don't have their own will? I think most people would say no, that children do have some sense of their own will, and they're actively trying to seek certain things that fit their needs. All right, so this gets us into the quote that I had by Glasserfeld. I'm not going to explain the whole thing, but I want to get at the concept behind it. So Glasserfeld is, and this really changed my whole understanding of Piaget, so I got to tell you, this is big for me. Glasserfeld explains Piaget by saying that cognition is always action-oriented. In other words, children have their own agenda when they're learning. It isn't the neat and tidy picture of teacher or environment acting on the child and the child responding accordingly, but the child is an actor and a willful actor in the learning process, whether we like it or not. All right, so try to want to go to the video and the comic to see what this might mean. All right, so this video from YouTube, I think presents the idea of active learning as almost a very passive and predictable process. All right, let's just watch a little bit and I'll try to explain what I mean.
So, to the characteristics of 4 legs, ears, and tail, the child adds barks, furry, and licks. And so assimilation has occurred and the child has returned to a state of equilibrium. Now we have accommodation. So now the child sees a cat in the park. A new schema must be formed to acknowledge that this is a...
Okay, right there. And if you watch the video, you'll see it over and over and over. A new schema must be formed. Glasserfeld would say, no, a schema does not have to be formed. Only if the child feels a need for a schema to be formed. The child could continue calling a cat a dog for as long as the child likes. Unless there is some reason why the child is going to start to feel like that idea is no longer serving a goal or a need, the child is not going to make a shift in their schema. Right? So let's compare that to the comic. Right? So in the comic, child puts on the dinosaur suit, and it feels natural. and powerful. So the child does not get rid of the schema, even though the child causes disruption and then gets, reprimanded. The child is not changing the schema because the schema is fitting what the child wants. The dinosaur suit is making the child feel powerful. The teacher has introduced disequilibrium, and the parents have introduced disequilibrium, but the child's not changing the schema because the child has a will and a part to play in this decision about what to make of the world, just as the parents and the teacher also have a role in trying to guide the student. Right? So this child putting on the dinosaur suit is purposefully keeping the schema because it fits the child's needs. All right. So, do children mold their understanding of the world to fit their will? Right? I guess according to the comic and what I'm saying here, the answer would be yes, right? And you might say, well, what about curiosity? And what about when children naturally inquire and they are seeking the truth? Well, that could be true too. Because that would be if the child has a natural desire to be curious about something and to try to resolve any discrepancies that they can find, which is also a human quality, right? We want food, we want power, we want truth, we want all these things, and whichever the agenda is that's guiding the action, by the will of the child, will be very important in how the child develops conceptions. All right, so what about adults? Do adults mold their understanding of the world to fit their will? Or are adults active truth seekers who must change their schemas when they come across information that is new?